You guys already know that I make recipes inspired by characters on this channel, and I've done a few for Baldur's Gate 3 in the past, but oh boy have I been sitting on this one in my notes app for a year. Now I need to talk about Gale of Waterdeep, and listen, I know that the internet has a lot to say about Astarion, but after years of putting up with toxic vampire bullshit, I have decided to make better choices for me. Anyway, let's talk about Gale. He is educated, he loves cats, he drinks tea, he drinks wine, he writes poetry, he has his own real estate in a major city, and he has a career, and he cooks for camp like it's canon. What more do people want from me? Gale is husband material. Yes, he has trauma. Yes, his ex is a literal goddess, and yes, he has a magical Netherese orb in his chest threatening to turn him into a human hand grenade, but hey, don't we all have baggage? At least this one comes with a library, a cat, and dinner on the table, so naturally I made him dessert inspired by his impending magical little death orb. Gale, this one's for you. Mistra, you. Alright, so we are going to start on our Lavender Simple Syrup. We're going to take equal parts sugar and water, and we are going to bring that to a boil, then reduce to a simmer. We're going to stir that just to dissolve all of the sugar in the water. We're going to add our culinary grade lavender, and we're going to let that steep for about 10 minutes before we strain and transfer into a glass to cool. That's it. That's Lavender Simple Syrup. Moving on to our Blackberry Curd, first we have to rinse our blackberries. Once we found the attachment for our immersion blender, we're going to make a mess and puree the blackberries. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's on my light. Oh my gosh. This is why I like black. So now we're going to strain our blackberry puree through a sieve. We don't want any seeds in our curd. If you're fine with texture in your curd, you can leave the seeds, but I wanted it really smooth because we're also going to be using part of this curd for a mousse later. So we're going to press the blackberry juice or the puree through a fine mesh sieve, put that in a bowl, and then set that aside until we're ready to use it for later. We also need 3 eggs for our curd. Oh, Shell. Oh, Shell. Ah, is that Shell? Is that mother? Once we've removed the shell from the eggs, we're going to beat them with a fork until they're nice and fluffy. We're going to add a little bit of salt, just, help that process along. And then we're going to add our seedless blackberry juice to a pot with some sugar, some lemon juice, and our eggs, and we're going to beat that together, and we're going to cook it on medium-low heat until it's really nice and thick and starts to bubble up a bit. I pulled it off the heat temporarily to help kind of move it down the sides, just so it didn't bubble over. And then while that cools, we're going to cut 3 tablespoons of butter and put that in a pot. Don't do what I just did. That was dumb. I was fine, but it was dumb. What, bud? What? Wow, really? We're just gonna strain the curd just in case there were any eggy bits left behind. We don't want that. What, bud? What? What, my love? What's up, buddy? Uh-huh. What's up? Oh my goodness, really? Then the heat from the curd is gonna melt the butter. We're going to give that one good mix, and then we're gonna transfer that to a cold container, and we're just gonna set this on the counter to cool, and then we're gonna put it in the fridge until it's ready to go. We're also gonna be working on our Earl Grey milk for our cake. So what I did was I took about 1.5 cups of whole milk, and I added about a tablespoon of really nice Earl Grey, and then we're going to basically steep it in warm milk for like 10 minutes, and then we're going to strain that through a sieve lined with cheesecloth. This is going to ensure that you're not going to get any loose tea leaves. We're going to set that aside to cool. Now we're going to work on the blackberry mousse. Okay, so this is after the curd has had a chance to chill. We're going to heat up some heavy cream and some white chocolate and melt that together until the white chocolate is completely melted and it's super silky and smooth. Then we're going to add in a little bit of that blackberry curd, which is incredibly delicious, by the way. We're going to mix that until all of that is nice and combined, and then we're going to set that aside while we work on the whipped cream component of the mousse. We're going to take some whipped cream, some powdered sugar, and a vanilla bean split down the center. I may have applied too much force when scraping the vanilla bean because it broke. And make sure you don't get any of like the really fibrous parts of the vanilla bean in the whipped cream. That would kind of be gross, but you know, this is just really delicious. And then we're gonna beat this on high until we get a really, really nice, stiff whipped cream. We wanna make sure that there is significant stiffness to this so that when we fold in the white chocolate blackberry part of it, that the mousse isn't gonna be loose. We don't want a loose mousse. We don't want a loose mousse. We want a nice firm mousse. We want a solid mousse. We want good mousse. And that's what it looks like. So we're gonna fold it in carefully, make sure we don't deflate anything, and then we're gonna put that in the fridge to chill until we are ready to use it. Now it's time to work on our Earl Grey cake.
No! No eggshell!
Truly my biggest op this entire episode has been these eggs. They're not my normal eggs. I got a less expensive egg, and the shell has just been so brittle. It just gets everywhere. Ugh. Anyway, so we're gonna mix together our sugar and our eggs. We're gonna add some vanilla. We're gonna beat that together. We're going to add in our butter. Then we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of loose leaf. Again, good quality Earl Grey. I use free trade organic Earl Grey, and then we're going to put some baking powder, salt, and flour together, whisk that. We're gonna add half of it to the egg and butter mix. We're gonna add half of our Earl Grey milk. We're going to mix that together, and then we're going to add the second half of our flour, give that a mix, and then we're going to add the last bit of the Earl Grey milk and give that a mix. And then we're gonna break our whisk.
Huh. Can anyone cast mending? No? Okay.
Now you could, if you wanted to, bake this in layer cake pans, but I am punching out 2-inch rounds, so I'm gonna bake this in a parchment paper lined baking sheet. We're going to just transfer our batter out. We're going to use an offset spatula to smooth it, and then we're gonna smack it on the counter a couple times before we bake it in the oven for about 30 minutes until it's nice and done. Once it's done and cooled, we're gonna take a fork and poke a whole bunch of holes in the top, and then we're going to take that lavender simple syrup that we had made and drizzle it all over. Now you might think this is excessive, but trust, the lavender simple syrup is very subtle, but it is necessary with the sweetness of the blackberry and the sweetness of the white chocolate. So speaking of white chocolate, we are going to use white chocolate melts for the shell of the Netherese Orb. Half of it I am leaving off-white, and half of it I am dyeing purple with some gel food coloring, and then we are going to take our silicone molds. Now this, I think the silicone molds themselves were a mistake. In hindsight, because hindsight is always 20/20, I think I would have used a solid mold. The solid mold would have had less defects and would have led to a more consistent product. You can see that the silicone mold itself kind of has these little indents all over the place. I think it's just the nature of the silicone, but we're going to put those in the fridge to chill, and then we're going to, like I said, punch out 2-inch rounds of this cake while those are chilling. And then once that's done, we're going to demold our shells. And I think this is also where I went wrong. I think what I should have done was assemble the halves of the shells and then put another coat of white chocolate over the top to make a perfect half, and then adhere those together.
Oh my gosh, these look so good. Look at... Okay, I can't touch these for long. This one's a little lumpy. This one's a little lumpy. This one looks really good. Yeah, I think these will be the ones that okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, my dream. I have to move quickly, I have to move quickly, I have to move quickly.
Listen, I was really excited this was working, so we're going to assemble it like this. We're going to take one of the white chocolate shells, we're going to put a layer of mousse down, we're going to put a layer of cake, then we're going to layer our blackberry curd on top of that and make sure that's nice and even, and then we're going to repeat that. So mousse, cake, blackberry, mousse, cake, blackberry, mousse, cake, blackberry. You should be able to get about 3 layers per orb. And then to make sure this sticks to a plate, I just took my torch and I heated up the center of the plate. Because it's white chocolate, it melts really easily, and then we're going to smush that together. I let it chill before I took my torch around the side and started smoothing it out. And then I had to touch up a couple details. Again, I think what I should have done was, you know, I told you, I think, what I should have done in hindsight. So the sides look a little rough, but from the top, can we just take a moment to address how gorgeous she is? This was so good. The layers were so good. White chocolate, in my opinion, can always be just a little strong. So you need the brightness in the curd. Some people might not want lemon in their blackberry curd, but I think that lemon really elevates everything else. And then the lavender simple syrup was necessary because the white chocolate is so strong and because it's so sweet. And then you have all the nice blackberry stuff. The cake can kind of get lost, but the lavender really helps the Earl Grey kind of shine through. So it's all about balance. So the simple syrup is necessary, but this was so good. You can serve it in the orb or you can make little shooters. I did that as well. But this, oh my gosh, absolutely amazing. 10 out of 10. Would make this again. It's already on my rotation for a birthday cake. So anyway, that brings us to the end of the episode. If you liked what you saw, smash that like button. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, drop those down below. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. How in the hell are we at like almost 1,100 subscribers? That's absolutely bonkers to me. That's bonkers. That's absolutely wild. Anyway, so yeah, that's the end of the episode, adventurers. Take care of yourselves. As always, adventurers, take care of yourselves. Do something nice for someone else, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.